decide to bring Bente. Let's keep this moving. ENCE, so they in the same tournaments. No, we don't usually talk about tournaments at this level. It's crazy that we're doing that. I guess it's because so many newish
rosters, relevant teams, taking part in them. So
true. We saw in Snow Sweet Snow, ENCE go 3-0 in the Swiss stage, win over Isaac Bors, the Vikings, and Endpoint. I think the Endpoint one is the most impressive to me. But the kid who's standing out, and it's not like this is a new thing. We all remember Diha back when he was playing with Taz's Aristocracy, and then they went on as well. Diha was the star of the team back then, and he went to Sprout for a little while. He was there with Snatchy, quite the workhorse for them. And now in this roster, it appears like he's one of the star players of ENCE. So in case you missed it, ENCE have gutted the Finnish side. They're down to Alu and Doto. They still have Saw as the coach, who came over from Havu. They added Snappy. I believe he's obviously doing the in-game leader stuff. So Snappy, we all know he's very good in-game leader, setting up the foundations of your team. Spinks, you just mentioned him before, Yukinda, and then Diha. So this new ENCE, we mentioned last time round, Striker, it's not going to be worse. But these already seem like very positive signs, especially with a win over Endpoint.
Yeah, and especially Diha just taking the star role this quickly. We kind of saw, or we talked about it last time, that we kind of saw him being probably the main star alongside with somebody like a Spinks, probably, as an up and coming player. But I mean, to be fair, they got pretty hard carried by Diha. He had
sure.
I was looking at, even when
Luke, I just linked it.
So, bring it up, Lucas.
Oh,
for
there
everybody.
you go. Yeah, I was looking into that 2 days ago, or yesterday, I think. And he had 3 out of 7 maps with 30 plus kills, and only one of those went into overtime. So it's that's hard carry stuff, especially against the Danes playing by Vikings. So
this is
Pavel, man. Pavel.
Yukinda level stats. What's going on, mate? This is your stats. What are we talking about?
This is insane, man. It's legit, man. I'm playing FPL with him. He has this big ass crosshair. I don't know. It's size 5 and gap 3 or gap 2, CS 1.6 crosshair large, and he's just running around and and I'm yo, you're insane, man. He's so humble as well, man. I love him. And now I believe with ENCE, Spinks is a really good player as well. I believe it's gonna be a bit of a refresh for all of the team, because Snappy will call, probably, right? If I'm not, I suppose so. So I believe it's a refresh for Alu, refresh for Diha, because out of Sprout, and completely players who haven't actually played together, coming in and actually playing together and getting to know each other. I believe it's they can actually do some damage in the near future. I believe so.
Now
Diha's in the chat, and the first thing people are asking him for is
his crosshair. Prof, on what your kid is saying, if we're just going to use that to jump off of here, we know Diha has been around for a while, right? We're not saying he's just new on the scene, but obviously he's a star player here. You put him with Spinks, who your kid is saying is a talent of the future. You add him into the mix with Doto, who's getting his first opportunity at this level of Counter-Strike, is going to work hard. You have a veteran player who's had to be humbled in recent times of Alu. You have Snappy, who's been thrown around the Counter-Strike scene.
He's used to this.
He is
just another day.
In the office, yeah.
New team. Okay, let's start again. Day one.
Top 50 in the world. No invites. Let's go.
But this mix, though, let's look at this. If Diha and Spinks, right, can deliver from the star power role, Snappy now has a good basis of firepower, something that some of his teams have lacked. It feels like the organization, especially with Natu there, I know people are like, well, it was mismanaged before. Natu's a very smart guy. I think that a lot of you probably don't know him as well as I do on a personal level. He's been around the block. He understands the Counter-Strike landscape. Dodo, as I mentioned, he's just going to be a grinder. I feel like he's just going to be a role filler for the team, right? He knows what type of opportunity this is in the one interview I got to do with him. And then Alu, he's reaching the twilight stages of, how old is Alu? He's reaching the end of, okay, so he's reaching the end of his career at the top, right? So for him, and knowing how badly he fucked it up with his countrymen, surely, Prof, this is the chance for ENCE to actually turn shit around.
Yes. So what should I say more than that?
No, but do you think that there is a chance for this team? I'm painting the best picture here. Do you agree with that?
I was kind of optimistic. Just if I judge how other people thought about this team,
yeah,
the average, and from that, look where I am. I was pretty optimistic. I feel like, and mostly because of like Dika and Spinks as a duo.
All right.
Dika especially because I think he was just like super overlooked in this whole transfer period and probably could have gone to a better team. And like Sprout getting rid of the 2 Polish players, I think that was not the best idea.
Interesting maneuver.
Regardless because they did it before. Like, why are they still doing the cycle all the time? Doesn't really make sense. Like, oh, we're German. No, now we're international. Now we're German. They actually started as international. Fun to be even funnier. So yeah, I think Dika probably could have gone to a better team if other people had eyes or something, or were critical enough about their own performances in the last like 6 months and realized they needed the roster change, but they didn't. So
okay,
I also think it's kind of people kind of overlook Alu as being like actually a decent opera for how long he's been in the game. I think people just like think of ENCE as, you know, this trash team that's been at the bottom as just being sinking, but Alu like throughout this all has actually been pretty consistent individually. So for him to stay on that team, I think was a good call, at least from like the individual standpoint.
It's obviously like in the sense of how destructive it seems from the outside looking in with the whole ENCE project towards the end, that maybe there's more about him as a person. But I would say that if you're getting a wake up call, like your teammates calling you out live on a podcast in front of thousands of people, that probably is going to make someone self-reflect pretty hard, right?
Before Jane
tweeted about you kinder, what do you mean you don't like fucking sitting and waiting for 45 seconds, motherfucker? You know? But all right, I'm
pretty sure he knows, by the way.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Jane, I mean.
Yeah. All right, so that's our first impressions. I think we're done with that. Let's keep this moving. We're going to jump into